Of the many Europeans who are fascinated with the first Australians, Lieutenant Dawes becomes one of the most familiar. In his out-of-the-way observatory, he meets the first Australians on their own terms.
Dawes was a very religious young man, we're told. He was also a very aloof and solitary young man. He was an expert astronomer. He managed to establish intimate relationships with a young Aboriginal girl called Pararegang.
We shall sleep separate. You winked at me. To warm one's hands by the fire and then squeeze gently the fingers of another person.
There's this interaction which is on a much more relaxed and friendly basis, and it allows for an understanding of each other's culture, an understanding of what the requirements are from each other's perspective, what the obligations are in each other's culture.
Paddy Ugarang teaches him her language, and in return he teaches her to read and write English.
I shall not become white. This was said by Pachigarang after I told her that if she would wash herself often, she would become white. The same time, throwing down her towel in despair. William Dawes.
There's no doubt that theirs was a tender relationship. Whether it was physical I don't know, but tender it certainly was.
She was a person who actively was involved in this interrelationship with Dawes. So it's not a question of her just being a subject or someone who was investigated by Dawes. It was a genuine relationship.
Our party are to be ready to march tomorrow morning at daylight in order to bring in 6 of those natives who reside near the head of Botany Bay. Or if that should be found to be impracticable, to put that number to death. Arthur Phillip, Governor.
William Dawes and his colleague, Watkin Tench, are ordered to lead the revenge party. Tench, similar to Dawes, has befriended the first Australians. He expresses his disgust at the order in his journal.
At 4 o'clock on the morning of the 14th December 1790, we marched with 3 days' provision, ropes to bind our prisoners with, and hatchets and bags to cut off and contain the heads of the slain. Watkin Tench.
Off they go. As he says, heavily encumbered Europeans in pursuit of native Indians, as he always calls them because of his time in America, on their home ground. Yet they're somehow meant to entrap them or encircle them or catch them.
Now they're carrying 60 pounds on their back. They're in these big red hot coats, big boots, trying to go through the bush.
On his own turf, Pemulwuy eludes the officers with ease. Phillip cannot accept he has been outmanoeuvred. Dawes refuses to participate when Phillip orders them to go out yet again.
It's a very strange performance from a cool-headed man. All that happens on that second expedition is that they, a number of them nearly drown themselves in quicksand.
By November 1791, after governing for 3 years, Phillip is exhausted by the extraordinary effort of establishing the colony, and he resigns due to his ill health. Despite Dawes wanting to stay, Phillip orders him to leave. In his final weeks, Dawes truly discovers how he and his people are perceived.
I then told her that a white man had been wounded some days ago and asked her why the black men did it.
Gulara.
Minyan Gulara Iora.
Inyam Ngalawai, white man.
With Dawes' departure, Paddy-Garang, his friend and confidant, disappears from the written record, perhaps returning to her country, or some say she even sailed to Calcutta, hoping to follow Dawes.